Hi, Keir. Well, it's been quite the day for you, hasn't it? Huge congrats on the release of this paper and your press conference this morning, where you've managed to successfully piss off both the left wing and the right wing. So the left wing have compared your rhetoric to the Rivers of Blood speech by Enoch Powell. Not really sure whether I'd go that far, to be fair, but of course they don't like you to start off with. And the right wing have said you just haven't gone far enough, and the media have just interviewed Nigel Farage to see what he thinks about it. I think it's extraordinary that the whole thing is being framed against what Reform are doing, when actually it was a key part of your manifesto to sort out the migration issues in the UK. Within the paper, you clearly state that migration is a part of our economy and part of our growth. But throughout the paper, you also state that we have to work on our skills shortage as well, which seems to me to be quite reasonable. And far from being the Rivers of Blood speech that the left are saying, actually, you're very clear about Britain will always be a home for asylum seekers who are fleeing persecution. So you're saying we should have a fair and effective system, with companies being encouraged to invest in the people of Britain as well as bringing in people from overseas. Of course, the elephant in the room that the right-wing media and indeed the right-wing politicians and definitely Reform don't want to talk about is that part of this huge migration influx is solely down to Brexit, because suddenly the Tories tried to do stick-and-plaster solutions for major problems that Brexit had created for the UK. God forbid we talk about that. The paper clearly says that we will not be leaving the ECHR. Instead, you'll be working to ensure that the ECHR is working effectively in the UK. And while some people have lost their minds over the statement about people have to integrate and learn our language, that has always been a part of what good migration has been in the UK. Now, there were two areas that particularly interested me that I thought were a bit concerning. The social care issue was one. I mean, the way it's been reported on, it was like the social care system was going to collapse as of tomorrow. But it turns out that you're talking about a transition period for the next 3 years. And a key part of these reforms means that overseas workers are not being exploited to work for low-end care homes in the UK and get exploited. My other personal point of interest here was in the university sector, because universities are really struggling since the Tories restricted the student visas. So I wanted to know what you were going to do about that. And I was intrigued to read this bit, because it's almost like you know that some colleges are taking a lot of overseas students because they charge them a premium. They don't actually care if they drop out because they still get the funds. And it's almost like you've done some research on it. I mean, I'd be really interested in the detail here about what do you consider to be the top-ranked institutions and the high-value courses. But it's also true to say there are very low-quality students being taught on low-quality courses that are being used by the universities in order to keep their better courses afloat because they just don't have enough students on them. So as ever, you've gone for something pragmatic. And nowadays, pragmatic in the UK seems to mean everybody hates what you're doing. So well done, as you were.